Alrighty, everybody, we are live on my Twitter and the Fireside Knicks YouTube, and in just about a moment, we will be on the Fireside Knicks Instagram, as well as promised. I said I would go live again today to talk about some of the things with the Knicks. Obviously, last night I gave kind of an instant reaction to the game. The Knicks lost last night by a final score of 100 to 101. So not 101, 111, excuse me. So, obviously that stinks, but the more important thing, Deuce McBride getting that injury. And first off, what's up to everybody in the chat? I do see a handful of people have already joined. So shout out to you guys in the chat. But anyways, looking at just what's ahead with the Knicks, I just want to come on here and kind of discuss really what's ahead for these last 7 games, and also some other important matters of business from last night's affair with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Um, you know, Losing the game against the Thunder stinks. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It stinks. I wish the Knicks could have found a way to win that game. And I do apologize if the stream quality is a little low at the moment. I hope it fixes itself pretty quickly. Sometimes it likes to be kind of stupid and do that. So hopefully the quality gets better, just the picture. But as long as you guys are able to at least hear me, that's fantastic. But anyways, what's up to everybody in the chat? Again, I appreciate everybody who is tuned in. Once again, I've been doing a lot of these streams lately, and I'm going to continue to do a lot more of these. So if you are tuning in, make sure you guys please leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also follow us on every social media platform. We're pretty much everywhere that you can imagine. So please make sure to do that. But anyways, I want to get to the orders of business that I was going to discuss with this game. Obviously, last night, we know how the game went. I talked about it a little bit on Instagram last night for those who did tune in. They didn't shoot well from two. They hit some threes, but after Deuce McBride got injured again, they really couldn't get a stop. And losing Deuce McBride right after he just came back from that core muscle injury is really frustrating for him. It's really frustrating for the Knicks as well because, Deuce McBride is a very important piece to the team, very important to what the Knicks are trying to accomplish this year. And losing him for potentially a significant amount of time once again could really haunt them. It could really hurt them big time in the postseason. Hopefully he's okay. We're still waiting on an update on Deuce. We don't have a proper update on his condition or his status at this time. They still never even gave him an injury designation as far as to what he injured, which I thought was pretty interesting. I kind of strange, but I think it's pretty clear that he probably re-aggravated that injury just based on the reaction that he gave and just given that he just came back from a pretty serious injury and then immediately was clutching at his groin, and then he couldn't really walk. He had to get assisted to the locker room. It's not a good situation there. Not good for him to be in. We're just hoping for the best with him at this point. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but we will find out. Something I really want to discuss though, as I get more into this stream, I want to talk about Karl-Anthony Towns a little bit because this is a guy who, has been playing really well since the All-Star break, and he's been one of the more impactful players. But last night he was kind of a ghost. He only took 2 shots in the first 3 quarters, and then he got going in the fourth quarter, hitting a lot of his shots and kind of propelling the Knicks back into it. But then he got inexplicably benched for a couple possessions. It took momentum away from both him and the team, and the Knicks ended up falling short as a result. Now, obviously, that alone is not specifically why they lost the game. I think there are a bunch of other reasons why they lost, but that just made no sense why he got benched in that situation. And I think just the way Cat was playing last night, you didn't really feel like his aggression was there. I personally believe it's Mike Brown's fault. I believe Mike Brown is at bigger fault for the lack of involvement for Towns, which is definitely alarming because we're 75 games into the season, guys. Karl-Anthony Towns should know by now what his role is supposed to be. And I'm going to pull up this quote that he mentioned, and I posted this earlier on the Fireside Knicks accounts, and I'm going to read it to you guys for those who did not see it. He said this on the NBC broadcast last night before the game. He said, "I'm still trying to figure out where I could impact the team or impact our team and winning the most." Look, I get it. He's just trying to give the light answer of, oh, he's just trying to find ways to impact the team. But I've seen some other quotes going around that kind of suggest that he still doesn't really know his role. And that's really not encouraging given how far we are into the year and given how important he is to the success. I have mentioned so many times on all of these streams that Karl Anthony Towns playing at his best is what's going to change a lot for the Knicks. That he's going to be a big determining factor into really just how far the Knicks go, right? He's going to be a big reason why they make the finals, or perhaps a big reason why they don't make the finals. He needs to really, kind of figure out what's going on. And again, part of the issue is him not being aggressive enough. I agree on that. Part of it is that he's not demanding the ball enough, or really looking to get the shots that he wants up. But I think a large bulk of the blame should be at Mike Brown for this, because if you look at how last night went, they were not really taking advantage of the fact that Alex Caruso, who is a 6'4", 6'5" guard, was guarding Karl Anthony Towns a lot of the possessions. They were not taking advantage of that at all. Instead, he'd be in the low post and kind of just looking for a pass out. And when he would look for that pass out, nobody was really moving. So the ball movement was stagnant. The ball was sticking. Nobody was moving. Bad shots were being put up. And really, like some of you guys are saying, the comment that I have on the screen right here from Kat last night, it's not encouraging to hear that. It's not, because this is a guy that we really need to really be successful. It's why we were so upset when he wasn't playing well, because him being at his best is going to determine a lot for this team. So the fact that he was struggling as bad as he was, and then now that he really got going now, but now he still doesn't know how to be used. His involvement is still kind of not really there. That's a problem. That's a huge problem, especially at this point in the year. In the beginning of the year, when Mike Brown was fresh new head coach and they're still trying to figure out the roster, yeah, that's different. We're 75 games into the year. We are one day removed from April. The playoffs are 2 weeks away. Karl Anthony Towns needs to know what his role is, and Mike Brown needs to figure out what his role is and what his strength is supposed to be, because some games I feel like they're trying to get him in the post too much. Some games I feel like they're not getting him in the post enough. I don't think he knows how to use him. And it's a shame, because Karl Anthony Towns is a very gifted player and one of the most talented offensive big men ever. And the fact that we're still struggling to really see what kind of role he's supposed to play on this team, that irks me, because again, he's just too important to the success. Anyways, though, moving on kind of to the next point that I want to talk about from yesterday's game. I think we know the free throw disparity was pretty significant. And again, I'm not somebody who's going to come on here to say that, oh, the refs are the reason we lost the game. No, while I don't think the refs were great last night, I'm not going to pinpoint that as the sole reason as to why the game was lost by the Knicks. There are basketball reasons as to why the Knicks came up short last night. There are, whether you guys want to believe that or not. And Mike Brown had a very interesting thing to say about it. And, he pretty much, once again in his presser, once again kind of just, hinted at, hey, Oklahoma City just likes to get out, draw fouls a lot. And that's kind of how they play. And, a lot of other teams and a lot of other fans know that that's just how the Thunder play. The Thunder play that kind of nauseating brand of basketball where they look to score. They look to score at the free throw line as opposed to, other parts of the court. Drawing fouls is a skill. I'm not going to act like it's not, but it's very frustrating to watch at times. And, I'm going to pull up right now the statistic on the free throw disparity that I have here. And I did post this last night, but in case you guys did not see it, I have it right here on the screen. The Knicks took 17 free throws last night, and the Thunder took 38 free throws. And I believe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander took 16. So that's pretty much the entire team's free throw amount for the Knicks in that case. So that can't happen. And part of it is a lack of discipline on the Knicks. The Knicks have had a tendency to foul a little too much. It's just true. But part of that also is just, calls not going the Knicks' way. And I'm not going to, again, say that it's, the refs are the reason, this and that and the third. But, we can't have a free throw disparity like this and expect to go far. We can't. You can't you can't just give the other team that many free points. It can't happen. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where we can look at how the refs called the game. We know the refs did not have a great game. We know they called the game pretty weird, but at the same time, it's on the Knicks to adjust to how the game is being called. So it's preventable. It is. And again, the Knicks are a team that's trying to reach the finals, so I'm done giving the team excuses at this point. I'm done, uh, you know, having moral victories. No, I want them to be at their best right now because we need to go into the playoffs on a high note. We need to enter the postseason feeling confident about ourselves and feeling confident about what this group is capable of because I firmly believe at their best, this group is capable of making the finals. But right now, they are not playing finals level basketball, and that's just true. Even during the win streak, I would argue that they were not playing finals level basketball. They were playing a good enough brand of basketball to win games, but I don't think they're going to get away with that against good teams. I don't think playoff teams are going to let them get away with it. And for those watching on YouTube and Twitter, you can see on the graphic the Knicks were 0-5 against one seeds this year. And granted, one seeds are the one seeds for a reason. They're the best teams in the league. But, the Knicks were supposed to be in that position. They were supposed to be like the one seed this year. And they were supposed to be, I guess, the team to beat in the East. And while theoretically they still kind of are, um, they've shown at times an ineptitude to be able to handle their tougher opponents. And, that's not to say they suck against good teams because they have good wins this year against the Spurs. They smacked the Spurs. They smacked Denver twice. So they have a bunch of good wins this year. But you feel like also at times that um, consistency is becoming an issue. It's been an issue, and again, I sound like a broken record by using that word because I feel like every stream I talk about consistency, but I just feel like this team is still like going through the motions in March, and that's not encouraging to me for um, their chances of going on a deep playoff run because in order to go on a deep playoff run, you have to be playing at your best. And right now, the simple matter of the fact is that they're not playing at their best. So that's really some of the basic points that I wanted to point out from yesterday's game. Obviously, it was a rough loss. Jalen Brunson did play well. He had 32 points, but he was kind of the only Nick really who had it going. Karl Anthony Towns, of course, got it going in the fourth quarter, but it wasn't enough, and Mike Brown does not know how to use him still. So that's really all I got to say regarding the game. I think this is a good point for me to kind of just turn it over to the comments. I know some of you guys have been commenting on the Instagram. If you guys are on Twitter and YouTube, feel free to leave a comment as well. Because I would love to be able to talk with as many people as possible. And plus, on YouTube and Twitter, I'm able to pull up the comments on screen. Unfortunately, for those commenting on Instagram, I can't pull them up on the screen, but I will make sure to read as many of them as I can. Anyways, I'm going to scroll up a little bit through some of the Instagram comments, kind of just see what you guys have been talking about. I wasn't really looking at the comments like that as I was, on my little 10-minute monologue. I'm going to take a water break, and then we'll get to some comments. And no, I'm not using the Knicks cup this time. Somebody pointed it out last time. I'm not using it this time. Just using the regular cup. All right. Let's see what you guys have been talking about. Somebody said Mike Brown taking Cat out after he literally got us back in the game invigorated me. Yeah, I agree. And that's a really good word to use right there, invigorated. I definitely agree, though. I mean, it was really frustrating because he took him out of the game for like 2 possessions and then brought him back in. And by the time he brought him back in, the deficit went from 1 to 5. So I don't really understand why he took him out. It made no sense to me at the time. It still doesn't make sense to me right now. I don't think that's solely the reason why the game fell out of their hands, but it definitely took momentum away, 100%. Let's see what else you guys got. Someone said praying Deuce is okay, man. I know, me too. That's I think one of the more important things we need to focus on at the moment is just hoping that Deuce McBride's injury is not too severe. At this time, we don't have an update. Mike Brown was unable to provide one yesterday after the game, so we would just have to wait and see what they say today. We'll probably find out when the injury report comes out, which will probably be later this afternoon. So hopefully we have an idea then. Someone said get back game tomorrow, need to clinch our spot. Yeah. They have been on the cusp of clinching a playoff spot for 2 straight games, and they have failed to clinch both times. Tomorrow would be really nice to get a bounce back win against a good Rockets team. Granted, a currently dysfunctional Rockets team, but still a good Rockets team. It would be nice to get a win against them on the road and finally secure that playoff spot. And they'd still need to lock up the 3 seed too, because there's only like 2 games that separate them. Someone said the fact that Cat is still figuring out the system and where he is just nerve wracking. It's very nerve wracking. I think it's one of the more alarming things about this team currently that your second best player, one of your star players, still doesn't know what his role is supposed to be. And I blame both parties for that. I blame Karl Anthony Towns for not being aggressive enough, and I blame Mike Brown for not utilizing him properly. It goes both ways for them. Someone said cannot have your second option shooting only one shot through three quarters against any team, especially Oklahoma City. Absolutely. The fact that he only took what was it, two shots through three quarters technically, basically what you just said. The fact they took that few shots through three quarters, that can't happen. And I feel like I've said that too many times this year. I feel like too many times this year we have said that Karl Anthony Towns is not taking enough shots, and what do you know, last night it happened again. It frustrates me. Someone said, "Can we post up Cat regularly? When we do, he scores easily." Yeah, I mean, I like when he posts up. The problem is he doesn't get aggressive enough to look to score sometimes, and part of that's on him, and part of that's also I think on the system. I think Mike Brown is using a system that might not fit this group. I'm just being honest, and maybe the opinion changes in the postseason depending on how they play. But currently, right now, I feel like this group is still struggling with this system. So we shall see. Somebody said a trip to the finals I could buy, but how do you think we would play against Spurs, Thunder, and possibly any other Western team? Um, I think one thing I can point out, the Knicks did show a lot of fight last night against a good Oklahoma City team. Not just a good Oklahoma City team, a great Oklahoma City team who was fully healthy. I thought the Knicks held their own. I thought they did play very strong and very capable, and they looked like they wanted that game. So I'm not going to leave that game super discouraged about um how they would match up against them. What I am going to leave that game discouraged with is what I mentioned before, the usage of certain guys and the fact that they're still struggling with consistency 75 games into the year. I think this is easily the most confusing, most inconsistent, most I don't even know how to evaluate this group, and I've said that before and I'm going to say it again because again, this team is capable of reaching the finals with ease, just given how we've seen them play when they're at their best. But they've also shown that they can lose to anybody just as much as they can beat anybody. So they're a little very much topsy turvy. And again, guys, I know the quality on the Instagram stream at least is a little grainy. I do apologize that it looks like that. I have like no control over how that looks. It's just Instagram not really cooperating. But if you guys are at least able to hear me, we'll accept it and we'll just keep the ball rolling here. Let's see what else we got. Someone said I don't like how people say Brunson does not pass. Yeah, I kind of agree on this. I mean Brunson. Obviously, there are possessions I feel like where Brunson does take an unnecessary shot, but all players do that. I think Brunson is still trying to adapt to becoming more of a point guard because it's a completely different play style than he has been playing since he joined the Knicks. So it's kind of just him going through the motions, but um, I would like for him to figure it all out completely and understand what his job is supposed to be when the playoffs roll around. And I think he knows that his job in the playoffs is supposed to be to lead the group and to take the bulk of the shots, which quite frankly, I want him taking bulk of the shots, but I also want to make sure the other guys are getting involved and getting themselves going as well. Someone said thoughts on Diawara being out of the rotation. I think he's just fallen victim to the numbers game. There's a lot of different capable players who are getting their minutes right now. And also Diawara is a rookie, and he's shown at times that he is in fact a rookie. He's shown, while he's shown a lot of potential and a lot of good things, there's also been some rookie moments, and it's normal, completely normal. It's not supposed to be something for me to drag on the kid for. I think he's already shown more than I thought he was going to show coming into the season. So I'm okay with it because I don't think Diawara is really going to be getting minutes like that in the playoffs anyway. So I'm okay with it. I really don't have much of an issue with it at the moment. Someone said play Cole like Alvarado is not it. Yeah, look, I don't really know what's going on with Alvarado at this point. I mean, the lack of production that the Knicks are getting out of Jose Alvarado is really frustrating because the Knicks traded a guy who wasn't producing at all in Gershon Yabusele to get him, to hope that they can actually get a bench player who can provide some production. And the first few games, it looked like that. It looked like a fantastic move. And while I do think you still need his energy and his intensity for a variety of reasons, I feel like the lack of offense that he is showing right now is only hurting the team because um lately on defense he's been fouling too much as well. But again, he's been a liability on offense. He's not scoring. He's not shooting efficiently. It's frustrating because the Knicks, especially now that Deuce McBride just got injured again, it's very frustrating because now we're gonna have to rely on Jose to actually figure things out. Some are saying that Dort may be a really dirty player, but the Deuce injury was accidental. Most still say Dort should have gotten a flagrant. Look, my opinion on that Deuce Dort play yesterday, I don't think it was really Lou Dort's fault. I think it's just unfortunate that he was at the scene of the crime again. Um, I posted this on the Instagram and I tweeted this as well. People are gonna blame the Knicks for playing Deuce McBride. For playing Deuce McBride against the Thunder and playing him against Lou Dort, who has this reputation of being pretty reckless, right? And that's fine if you guys think that, but my thinking is, well, if that's really the case, if we're at a point where we have to hold players out from playing in games, important games at that, because of another player on a different team, what does that tell you about the player? And why won't the league do anything about it? Look, I'm not saying suspend Lou Dort. He hasn't done anything like wrong. He just plays with a very reckless and aggressive play style um, that sometimes gets players hurt. And yesterday was just purely an accident, honestly. Yes, I don't think yesterday was um, necessarily dirty play. It's just unfortunate that he was involved in it. Um, but for the people that think that they should have just sat Deuce because of who they were playing, um, then why is that the conversation? Why is that the conversation instead of, well, why doesn't the league do something about Lou Dort's aggressiveness? I'm not saying suspend the guy, but maybe crack down a little bit more and call the fouls a little bit more so that he plays with I'm not saying he needs to play less aggressive, as his aggressive play style is what makes him a valuable player, but um I guess kind of to the point where he's not playing reckless, if that makes sense. Look, I know it may sound like fluff to some of you guys, but it's just a preposition that I've thrown out there. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit to see what you guys have been saying regarding that. If you guys are talking about that indeed. Um let's see what else you guys have been chatting about. Let's see. I've scrolled down to the more recent comments. Somebody said OG Anunoby, how did he do last night? He was bad last night, honestly. He did not have a good game at all, at least not offensively. I don't think really anybody outside of Brunson played amazing offensively. Um, Cat was fine in the fourth quarter, but the lack of involvement was really an issue. Somebody said at least Mikhail got over 14 points this time. Yeah. To that person who wasn't able to tweet until Mikhail scored 15, you can now return. Someone said, why not use Jeremy Sohan? I just don't know what Sohan would change differently. I don't know what Sohan would change right now, honestly, because I think lately a larger part of the issues have been on the offense, and that's not Sohan's specialty. So I don't know what playing him will change right now. I get it. We signed him and he's basically not really playing, but again, like I just said, I don't really know what that'll change. I don't think playing him's going to change much of what's happening with the group right now. Said another free throw for SGA as we speak. Yeah, word on the street is he's actually shooting free throws right now. Someone said, with this team, Brunson should average 8 to 10 assists per game. Ideally, but that's just not his play style. He's not a point guard. He's more of a scorer. He's a score first guard. He's still learning how to be a point guard, even though his assist numbers aren't even bad this year. So, I mean, I think I'm fine with the production he's giving on that front. I don't need him averaging like Halliburton numbers. I don't need that. Someone said it's about to be April and we're still having issues. Get it together next. Yeah, that's basically the main idea of this stream. That we're almost in April. We're one day. We're what? Less than less than 10 hours removed from April, and we still have problems. We still have consistency issues. Let's see what else we got. Someone asked, "Did Cat do good yesterday?" I didn't watch. Um, Only in the fourth quarter. He took 2 shots in the first 3 quarters combined, so he was not involved nearly enough. Um, Someone asked, "How do you think we can last up to a finals or an ECF run?" I think the bare minimum should be to make the Eastern Conference Finals again. I'd even argue the bare minimum should be to make the NBA Finals because that was the expectation that was placed on them coming into the year. Someone said also everybody except Hart could average 20 points. Yeah, they're all capable of doing that and they're pretty close to doing that, but I don't need everybody to do that for the team to be successful. I just need them to figure out each other's roles and figure out what they're supposed to do on both sides of the ball. Excuse me. I'll scroll back up to some of the earlier comments, kind of just see what you guys have been chatting about. Somebody asked any report about Deuce yet? No, unfortunately, no. We don't have an update on Deuce at this time. I'm hoping by the later this afternoon or closer to this evening that we will have more of an update. Someone said we'll be fine come playoffs. I really hope so. I really hope so. I want to believe it. I just worry about some of the habits they've been creating. I don't want there to be a bunch of bad habits going around. And yeah, that's really all I gotta say about that. I feel like I've talked about that quite a lot, and the regular season can tell you a lot about how you are as a team. So let's just hope that we can figure things out. Let's see what else you guys have been saying. Somebody said Rockets easy win respectfully. Rockets have a roster of the same players, basically. I mean, yeah, it's basically the same players plus Kevin Durant, and plus that team is definitely a little bit out of sorts right now. But I would argue the Knicks are also a little out of sorts right now. So you got 2 teams who are still trying to figure each other out um, heading into that matchup. I think for the Knicks' sake, they need to go in there with a strong game and a win. Because then after that, they have the Bulls and the Grizzlies, which are basically 2 gimme games. So if they can enter those 2 gimme games off a win, that would be great. Keep stacking up wins and lock up the 3rd seed. Because I don't know how realistic 2nd seed is anymore, just because of these last 2 losses. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would say it's less likely now. So they need to lock up 3rd. Let's see what else you guys have got. Someone said if we run into fast-paced teams, we might be cooked. I wouldn't say they're cooked, but I would definitely argue that I would definitely say the fast-paced teams will give the Knicks trouble. We saw what the Charlotte Hornets did the other night, where they basically just ran the Knicks out the building, just outran them, had way more energy than them, and shot the lights out. So, that they'll definitely have problems if they face a faster paced team, but I still think they can beat them. I still think they can beat those faster paced teams. Someone said, "Do you think the Knicks will do good against the Rockets tomorrow?" Look, I think the Knicks can beat the Rockets tomorrow. I think they should be able to as well. I'd argue they should be favorited, but um, it'll definitely be tough simply because it's on the road. Somebody said, "What will happen with Mitchell Robinson's future going forward into the offseason and into the summertime?" I want Mitchell Robinson to stay. I really do. I think the Knicks need to try to keep him around long term. I really do. And of course, my light starts to go a little dark right as I drink the water. So maybe the water is a curse. But anyways, yeah, to your point about Mitch, I want him to stay, and it's crazy because I said over the summer, this past summer, that they should consider moving Robinson. I was saying that they should consider dangling him in some talks, maybe seeing if they could sell high on him. I was wrong. I will gladly take the L on that one. He stayed healthy this year. He's been very impactful. You could argue he's won a handful of games for the Knicks by himself this year with those offensive rebounds, with those second chance opportunities he gives them, and being a lob threat and being a good rim protector. I think the Knicks need to keep him. I think the person that is not necessarily super secure at the moment is Bridges. I think that's the guy that I would look at as somebody who has an uncertain future. I feel like the Knicks need to lock up Mitchell Robinson. They cannot find themselves in another Isaiah Hartenstein situation. So that's my take on that. Somebody said what happened to McBride. He dove for a loose ball with Lou Dort in the third quarter, and then after the little scuffle, he kind of came up hobbling. He was taking a minute to get up. He was clutching his groin area, the same area that he just had the core muscle surgery in, and it didn't look very good. He had to limp back to the locker room, and he never came back out. So we still don't have an update on that. We don't know. We don't know what the prognosis is or how many games he might miss. But it's certainly not ideal. Someone said, I feel like Alvarado should be in the starting lineup, but I don't know who to replace. No, I strongly disagree. I don't think Alvarado should be in the starting lineup. Honestly, I don't. I don't think Alvarado is. I don't think Alvarado is better than any of those guys in the starting five currently, and I think it just makes no sense because Alvarado has not really done much lately at all. So I unfortunately got to disagree hardly on that one. Yeah, I do not. I don't think Alvarado should start. I get what you're trying to say because he looked good against the starters, or not against starters, with the starters a week ago against Pacers, but no, he shouldn't be starting. And I'd argue in a fully healthy rotation, he shouldn't even be in the rotation. We're trying to win a championship. I mean, like we gotta play the top guys and smart guys and the ones who are actually providing an impact. That's why Jordan Clarkson's still playing, and that's why he's back into the rotation because he's making an impact at a time that the Knicks need an impact. Although he was pretty bad last night, but I can't point the finger at just him. Everybody was bad last night. I'll answer a couple more questions and then or any more takes, whatever you guys are saying, and then I'll probably wrap the stream up. I don't want to make this too long of a stream, but I did want to come back on here because I did promise last night that I would be doing another stream, and I will eventually get. And next stream, hopefully, we have Johnny back on as well. He was back on the last stream, which was great, and hopefully, we have him back for the next stream as well. But of course, I'm still here to talk with you guys about some Knicks and just chop it up. I hope everybody is doing well on this Monday. I know it sucks that the Knicks lost last night, but look, we're almost at the playoffs, and that's when everybody is at 0-0. So everything will look different in a couple weeks. But we need to get there, and we need to get there on a high note as we try to get through the end of this regular season slog. If you guys are watching this, though, on Twitter and YouTube, just once again, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to follow me on Twitter. It's right there on the screen if you're watching this on Twitter and YouTube. And, of course, for the Instagram folks, it is Dylan Becker ESM. Someone said, I feel like we can win the championship if we play smart. Absolutely. I think the way that they are, I think at their best, they are a very elite team. I'd argue they're one of the best teams in the entire league right now, even with them not playing as great. But I think that teams will start to take them more seriously if they find some consistency. Someone said, why did Mo get small minutes? I mean, he probably wasn't going to play at all until McBride got hurt. So that's probably why. I think that's really all I can say about that one. So what's the season over? No. No. Obviously you're probably just being dramatic, but no, it's season's not over. And there's a lot of Knicks fans that like to doomsday whenever we lose games, but it's been a frustrating year. I get it. I've been guilty of that kind of behavior myself, but I'm never gonna give up on the team until it's physically over. Let's see what else you guys got. I'll scroll back up to see if there's other comments from earlier that I might have skipped. Because, we got a handful of people that have tuned in and that have commented. Someone said, I'll be at the game tomorrow night. Let's go. This is what someone said earlier. That's awesome. I really hope you have a good time. If you're still watching this and you hear me tell you that, I really do hope you have a good time. And hopefully you provide some good luck, because every time I've gone to games, they lose. Let's see what else we got. I'm gonna scroll back down to some more recent. Someone said we were right there too, man. I know. They really could have won that game last night. They really could have. Someone said, "Do we ever beat good teams?" Yes, we have beaten good teams this year. They smacked the Spurs twice. Um, they blew out Denver by 40 and beat Denver in double overtime. They have 2 wins against the Boston Celtics. They have 2 wins against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have 4 wins against the Toronto Raptors. They have 1 win against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have a win against the Los Angeles Lakers. Um, it's quite literally just the Pistons and the Thunder, who are the 2 best teams in the league. Somebody said they have some good defense. Talking about the Knicks here. I feel like and he also added, I feel like the weakness of the Knicks is our defense. Yeah, the defense at times does take a lapse. I feel like they've had that stretch where they like the top defensive rating or whatever in the past 2 months, but lately they've had some lapses, especially on the 3-point line. I would say after Deuce McBride went down last night that their 3-point defense was horrific after that. I think they got like maybe 2 stops the rest of the third quarter after McBride got hurt. Um, it can't be overstated how significant of a loss that is, because McBride actually was playing pretty well, I thought, before he got injured. I thought he was guarding Shea really well. Gilgeous Alexander was like 4 for 14 before the fourth quarter. So um, it's a pretty significant loss. Somebody said, in your opinion, which team will we face in the playoffs? Which team do you prefer to play against? Good question. I think the Knicks are going to end up as a 3rd seed, so they're probably going to. Obviously, that means they'll play whoever's a 6th seed, and it'll likely either be Toronto or Atlanta. Um, I'll be cool with playing either one of those 2 teams. I think the Knicks should smack both of them. I think the Knicks are by far the better team than both of them. If the Knicks lose a playoff series to the Raptors or the Hawks, um, some major changes need to happen in the summer. But I'm not gonna entertain that right now because I don't want to speak that into the air. Um, but that's really all I got to say about that one. Someone said Cat needs to work on not hitting people when going up. Yeah, he does. And somebody said I'm lagging. I do apologize if the stream is lagging a little bit. I do hope you guys can at least hear me. I know the picture quality is not the best at the moment, and there's not much I can really do about it. I've tried every troubleshoot imaginable, and sometimes it comes out clean, and sometimes it likes to lag because these these streams like to just do that, and I'm not going to spend 15 minutes while I'm live trying to troubleshoot. So we'll just work through it. And as long as you guys are able to hear me, then um, we'll just take it. Anyways, let's go back to some comments. Somebody said Cat needs to work on not hitting people when going up. Yeah, I mean, he flails a lot. It's something he's done his entire career, and part of it, I don't think he gets a good whistle. I don't. I think he gets whacked a lot and does not get calls. And then when he does something as simple as like flailing the arm, he gets called for it. So, it's frustrating, but it is what it is. I know I said I would only answer a couple more questions, but I've ended up answering more than that. So I'll keep streaming until 3 p.m., which is about 5 minutes from now. I'll keep doing it till then. I'm going to take another water break and then I'll get back to more comments. Let's see. Somebody said, I've been watching the Knicks since I was 8 years old in 2008, and we've never been able to defend the 3-ball well. Yeah, and, I've been watching the Knicks for a lot of my life, too. I'm only 23, so you and I are very close in age, and, yeah, they had the one good year in 2021 where they were really good at defending. I think they were like a top 5 defense that year, if I'm not mistaken. Not top 5 defense, I'm tripping, but they were one of the better shooting teams, and they were a solid defensive team. They had an identity defensively, but now the past like 3 or 4 years, yeah, they just haven't been able to defend the 3. Somebody said, "Can we send Bridges back to Brooklyn?" Look, no, I'm not. We're not going to entertain that, but it's been unfortunate that we did get him from Brooklyn for all those picks, and he hasn't been performing. But of course, it's not Mikal Bridges' fault. It's not Mikal Bridges' fault that he got traded for that many picks. It's just that's the Knicks' fault for overvaluing the player. Somebody said, would we verse the Pistons in the second round if we have the 3rd seed? No, but if we have the 4th seed, we would. So that's why they cannot afford to fall down to 4. They have to get 3 if they want to avoid Detroit until the conference finals. They have to be 3. If they end up with the 3rd seed or even the 2nd seed, then they would most likely end up facing Boston in the second round, who I do think they can beat, and they did beat last year. Someone said, you said major changes need to happen if we lose against Toronto or Atlanta. Giannis could be one of the changes. Look, I would love that, but do I think it's likely at this point in time? I can't really answer that question because I feel like Giannis doesn't want to leave Milwaukee, but the Bucks want to move him. So that's a weird situation right now. So I can only really think about that so much. And I also don't want to spend too much time talking about Giannis when we're past the trade deadline and we have to just focus on our group. But bottom line, yes, I do think changes will be coming if they were to fall in the first round, because that would be a massive disappointment. Someone said, I feel like the Pistons would choke in the first round. Depends who they play, and it also depends on Cade Cunningham's health. But the Pistons have still been winning a lot of games even with Cade Cunningham out. So that's a deep team. That's a good team, and I think they would honestly cruise through a first round series just because their defense is so good, and their role players like to step up. So that's I would love for the Pistons to get knocked out in the first round for the Knicks' sake, so that they wouldn't have to face them. But I don't know how. I don't think that's gonna happen, unfortunately. Someone said Pistons versus Hornets would be cinema. I do think that would be a fun series. That definitely would be fun. Although I do think the Hornets are going to wind up as the 7th seed, which would mean they'd play Boston. That would still be fun, but I think Boston would take care of Charlotte pretty easily. And of course, there's still the possibility the Hornets wind up as the 6th seed as well, which would mean that they would face the Knicks. And I know a lot of people were pretty much writing off the idea that the Knicks cannot beat the Hornets in a playoff series after what happened the other night. But look, if the Knicks can't beat the Hornets in a playoff series, that is a huge problem. It is. And the Knicks are a type of team, too, who can easily let their guard down and drop a game or two and then find themselves in a situation where it's a 1-1 series heading back to Charlotte like it was last year when they played Detroit. Letting their guard down and then find themselves down 1-1 heading back to Detroit. Luckily, they were able to take care of business in all 3 games in Detroit, but they lost 2 games at the Garden. So that was not really the most ideal situation. But, they still pulled it off. Someone said, should we be scared of Hornets and Thunder in the playoffs? Well, look, they would only have to face Thunder if they make the NBA Finals. So I'm not worried about the Western Conference teams at the moment because we have to get there first. We have to make it there. And there's no guarantee that they even make it there and represent the East this year. So they got to make it there first. But am I worried about the Hornets? No, I don't think we should be scared of them. I think the Hornets are a team that we should be on alert about. I think we need to pay attention to them. But if we shouldn't be afraid of the Hornets. If we can't beat the Hornets again, if we can't beat the Hornets in a playoff series, that we have major problems, major problems. If we cannot beat them in a playoff series, I'll answer one more question and one more take, and then I'm gonna end the stream off right here. So I got some things to take care of today, but I did want to come on here and give you guys, just another stream. You guys seem to like these streams, so I will definitely keep doing these more often. I think this is actually now like the 3rd or 4th day in a row now that I've done a stream, which I did not anticipate doing, but I love doing them. So, yeah. If you guys got anything else to say, feel free to leave a comment, and I will answer it. Yeah. And then I'm gonna probably end the stream off there in a minute or two. So, feel free to rip off any final thoughts you guys might have, and then yeah, that we'll move on with our day. Take a water break while you guys might be doing that. Somebody said, should we be scared of the Celtics? No. And I think we should be paying attention to the Celtics. I think they're a very good team, but I think on paper they were a less talented team than they were last year, and we beat a better version of them last year. So while we do need to obviously pay attention to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I think we're better than them. And we've beaten them twice this year. So I'm not worried about the Celtics. But anyways, guys, I think this is a good place for me to wrap up the stream. I really do appreciate everybody who tuned in on every platform. If you're on Twitter and YouTube, please, again, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe and follow my Twitter. It's right there on the screen if you're on YouTube. And for the people on Instagram, my Twitter is at Dylan Becker ESM. And make sure you guys follow me on there. Make sure you guys also follow Fireside Knicks on every platform. We are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, every page imaginable. You know, if you're new to these Instagram lives, please make sure to give us a follow. If you're new to the live streams on YouTube and Twitter, please make sure to follow us and subscribe. And that's it. That's really all I got for you guys. I will see you guys in the next episode of Fireside Knicks. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Monday. And let's go Knicks. Peace out, guys.